How there? How there? Hi there, everybody, and welcome to the Bi-Conics Podcast, a part of Vibe Tribe Productions. Today is our AEW Dynamite review for June 21st, 2023. A lot of stuff happening as we're approaching the Forbidden Door this weekend. Lots of stuff to talk about. I'm joined by Mikey today, the patriarch of Vibe Tribe. JVL is in Chicago. JVL almost got tickets to see AEW in Chicago. Apparently, it was actually sold out. It wasn't just sold out and they're lying to you. Like, they were actually sold out at the Wintrust Arena, which is pretty remarkable. Hi, Mikey.
Hi, John. Yes, as John mentioned, JVL unfortunately is out of town for a little bit, so I'm here to fill in for this week. And what a time to fill in, because as you said, we're getting close to Forbidden Door. We are literally only 4 days away from
It
Forbidden
is 4
Door.
days away.
Yep,
Goodness.
it is this Sunday.
It's going to be wild. There's so many things coming up the next, and then other promotions have other things. I don't want to spend time on that because we have to talk AEW right now. There's a lot of stuff happening the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we're going to try and keep up as best we can. We were talking a little bit before we started, and we'll get there, I'm sure. But overall, this was an interesting Dynamite because there were one or two AEW does this a lot. There were one or two bits last night where all of a sudden everybody was in the ring, and you're coming down the ramp, and you're coming down the ramp, and you're coming out of the audience, and now there's 13 people here. What is going on? Which is a week before a pay-per-view thing, right? You want to see everybody. You want everyone to be cheering for who they're going to see this weekend. So I get it. It's a little trope-y. It's a little shticky to me, particularly once you're at professional wrestler number 6. Okay, here's the next one. All right, cool. And you're here, and you're not feuding anyone. And you thought the same, where it was like, what in the hell?
Yeah, and this is one of the pitfalls with AEW and just in promotions in general. Usually, when we get ready for pay per views that have like multi people things, whether it be tag matches or things like gimmick matches, cage matches with a bunch of people in it, bookers always have a rough time because they want to make sure everybody involved in the storyline gets on the screen in the ring because you want to showcase everyone. This is who to expect. But man, it can get very convoluted, especially when you have two angles going on at the same time. What happened at the end of Dynamite tonight? Because those are two separate storylines and two separate matches for Forbidden Door, and they all just got thrown together into one, and this is very convoluted. I still
Yeah, and I
enjoyed
can.
it, but it was a lot.
Great. I
It was
enjoyed
a
it. It's a
lot.
lot. If I was trying to have a linear plot line or try and keep track of whatever's going on, which I am because I'm revisiting Dynamite and trying to keep up with all these things, but it changes every month, it seems like. So I probably could have tuned in regularly and still been confused. I don't know where we're going. I don't know. I just now figured out who's a heel and who's a face, even though there's some that I like. And I'm like, oh, so you're with them and you're the. Oh, got it. Which is fine. And I would have figured it out eventually. But yeah, it's a little. If you're expecting the casual to just pick it up and watch, that's tough. That's something that WWE is really good at. Is if I only tune in once a year, I could sit down, watch anything, and go, oh, A plus B plus C plus D. Like I can follow it really quickly. If I was just randomly watching, I'm gonna watch AEW Dynamite. I'd be watching like what and the who hates who for what? Oh, you're friends. Oh, you're not friends. Oh, you have long hair, so you're the bad guy. Oh no, you're the good. Oh, so you're the and just totally lost.
I think I think the summer tends to be really busy for AEW, especially this particular summer. So if we take a
Mhm.
look at the roadmap, so we have Forbidden Door this Sunday. So this is a joint pay-per-view between AEW and New Japan Wrestling. It's storyline, but it's not like canon in the AEW universe, so to speak. It's like a special one-off where we get to see amazing wrestling happen. And then it's weird because after this one, the next technically pay per view isn't until the end of July, which is All In, which is their special Wembley show that they're going to do for the first time. It's weird that they're doing, no, not even at the end of July. That's at the end of August. Never
Yeah,
mind.
they got a wild, and they're
Wembley
Wembley's
Stadium.
huge.
It is. And
I heard Simon Miller and What Culture talking about this a little bit. I'm not sure what they're. We'll talk about. Excuse me as I throw up on the microphone. We'll talk about this as we get closer for sure. But to pick Wembley and be like, here's 100,000 seats. Good luck. Like, they're really banking on wrestling hungry UK fans to turn out, like all of Europe to go to Wembley to see this thing. Ah, man, if they pull that off, that's going to be huge.
It will be a
Which,
historic moment for sure for AEW. But it's weird because Forbidden Door and All In are like special one-off pay-per-views that aren't in the AEW canon. But then the next canon pay-per-view in the chronological order of the pay-per-views, because AEW has their big four, is
mhm.
All Out, which is literally a week later after All In over Labor Day weekend. which we
Wait,
haven't which we haven't got an
wait,
official announcement yet for it,
all out, and all in?
or like within a weeks of each other.
Come on.
And that's not including what
Wait.
I mean, we're talking about AEW, but it makes sense. Labor Day weekend just got packed for no reason because you have All In at the end of August. Then, literally 6 or 7 days later, on September 2nd, you have Payback for WWE. And then the next day, on the 3rd, is All Out. We haven't got an official announcement. All Out is then, but that's usually when All Out is like the day before Labor Day.
I'm just going to call it all AEW pay-per-views should start with all. All in, all out, all about it, all aboard,
I think,
all
yeah.
over, all...
I think they've done a pretty good job of trying to keep them separate because they're big fours. Usually in March, we get Revolution. Then May is Double or Nothing. September is All Out. And then sometime in November is Full Gear.
And then there's All Together now, and like just all the alls for AEW.
Jeez.
It's an interesting, with sort of, this is the roller coaster right, going up, and then there's a few months of just stuff. Cool. So last night started off. Okay, I've said this before, and right, already ready about to start my sentence, and I've already cut myself off. Started off with the Hardys versus the Guns, and I love the Hardys. I grew up watching the Hardys. I have nothing but respect for the Hardys. I saw Matt Hardy live when he was in San Francisco, and moving like the Tin Man then, but was still selling and was still going for it. I'm glad that Jeff Hardy's back. I'm not sure why Jeff Hardy had some kind of weird TikTok makeup tutorial face paint on his face, but Jeff Hardy does Jeff Hardy things, and who knows what Jeff Hardy was thinking that day. Part of me wants to see the Hardys I know and love, and I can't disassociate because the music and the entrance and the vibe and the crowd going crazy. And I'm not saying they're shells of their former selves because it's still there. There's still glimpses of it. There's a part of me that I'm worried about them. I'm not always interested in the wrestling of the match. I'm worried. Please don't hurt yourself. Please have a good one. I'm rooting for you to succeed and not get hurt instead of watching the match. I've been taken out of it as an audience member, looking at it from a, I don't know, fourth wall perspective. I'm not even sure how to explain that theatrically. Does that make sense? Like, I'm more genuinely worried about them than I am watching the match and what they might be doing.
Yeah, I feel the same way with a lot of the, I guess, quote unquote, older wrestlers, the veterans that have been around in this business for a long time. There are some vets I was like, okay, you're fine, you'll be fine. But I think it's just because of everything that the Hardys, especially Jeff, has gone through. I'm just like, bro.
Like, maybe that's what it is. I'll see Sting and Jericho and be like, all right, they know their limits. They're going to stay in control. They know the spots. They know they can move. Arn Anderson, great. I know you got a 1-2 punch. I know you can look like you're a hurt old man. Great. The Hardys, I think the moment will take them, and then they'll, yeah, I'll jump off this ladder. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure. No, I could totally do that on the concrete. Whatever. No, please stop doing that. But I was glad to see them. I don't want to make it sound like I'm hating on Hardy Boys.
So, if we're going to dissect this match, so the Hardys make their entrance and then the Guns have their entrance. I'm one of the few people on this in our group, the Bi-Conics. So I'm mad that they didn't keep their 50 Cent entrance theme.
Sure, I don't blame you. They're walking out like it's a 90s boy band. Like they got all the glam, they got all that MTV look to them.
That's why I like their 50 Cent entrance, because at least they went hard on that entrance. I'm
sure.
like, I want, if you're not going to keep the song, at least keep that entrance where they're posing at the top of the ramp and then they come down. But
That's fine. Yeah, I would have bought that. This one, they're trying something different. They're no Pretty Deadly, but they're trying something different. Like they're gonna shoot for that.
yeah,
I thought it was a good match. I wondered why Matt punched the dude in the butt just because he could. That was a note I made where it was just like, "Hey, that just happened," and he just socked him in the butt. What?
that's
Why?
okay.
They all looked at each other like, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?" "Well, I wanted to."
I feel like Matt
What?
Hardy's just being a troll right now. Matt,
You know what?
he's such a troll. I was like, what is happening? But
It might have been. Even the ref had a look of, that just happened? Yeah, let's keep it going.
so yeah, towards the tail end of this match, we have Jeff hitting a twist of fate on
Right.
Colton Gunn, and he's about to do a swanton, and then all of a sudden, interference because Juice Robinson, or I should say Rock Hard Juice Robinson, if that's the whole moniker we're using here. These Bullet Club monikers are getting out of hand. But Juice runs down, he distracts the ref, and it allows Jay White then pushes Jeff off the ropes, where the Guns then hit the 310 to Yuma to beat the Hardys. And then Bullet Club Gold then starts attacking Matt, and Jay hits the Blade Runner. Juice hits Jeff with the left hand of God, which is like his finisher. And then the Guns hold off Matt, but then this is where chaos interrupted.
This is where it's chaos. Before we go all the way into the weird chaos of the thing, that's what it's called, the left hand of God?
That's one of the finishers for Juice Robinson. Yep.
That's what it's called?
I'm telling you, we could spend a whole Bi-Conics episodes talking about weird finisher names.
or yeah, of all the same move. These are all the same thing. I didn't know it was called that. I thought that was an interesting spot they had to set up because it's a giant left hand. I didn't hate that. There's a part of me that it just felt a little high school to me, where it's just four dudes holding the dude. Get him! Hit him! Yeah! Let's go! Yeah! Oh, let's go! Yeah! It's like, okay, all right, you're building it up for a thing. This is one of the first. We'll talk about this for a while. I don't know if it was there was a lot of miscues and strange cues and dips in energy where we were waiting for the next thing to happen. And I don't know if they were planned. The Sting and Jericho one was weird. And then it was like, we'll see you this weekend. What? But I digress. Why did Ricky Starks come in the ring?
So here's what I did. See, I thought we were done with this feud. I guess not, because I know Ricky has been feuding with Bullet Club Gold for the last couple of weeks since Jay White's debut in AEW back in May. So him and Juice Robinson and Ricky Starks have all been involved in this weird feud. So it makes sense why Ricky would come out here. But I thought we were done with the feud after Ricky lost to them. Sure. Like he's beaten Juice. He got a DQ against Jay, and then Jay beat him in the rematch. And then that was it. And I was like, okay, I think we're done. Like both people can move on, but apparently not, because we got to get Ricky Starks on the card somehow.
Sure.
Because then he comes out, but it's then outnumbered. And then all of a sudden FTR comes down, but they're also outnumbered. And then all of a sudden Mr. CM Punk runs down and evens the odds and goes for a GTS, a go to sleep on Juice. But Juice, being the little shit heel that he is, runs away. And then Punk gets the mic and says that he'll beat Bullet Gold's and the Guns' ass on Collision, basically setting up what seems to be an 8-man tag on Collision, which I'm like, okay, this was a mess, and it's to set up for a television match on Collision. Fine, okay, but this was a lot.
It's a lot.
At once.
And part of me as the theater person is like, Ricky Starks knows there's 4 dudes in the ring who are going to stomp on him. Why not stay outside the ring? Like, you don't. I'm gonna run in the ring and just get squashed. Just, okay, fine. But it gives a reason for FTR or CM Punk to show up there. CM Punk still has the charisma, still has the swagger in the ring, still has the mic skills, still makes it sound like he's improvising all the time, even though it may or may not be planned, depending on who you talk to. Own the space. And of course, he's going to show up there in Chicago. I get that. The camera kind of did a disservice to this because CM Punk runs out there and the camera's nowhere to be seen. The audience is going crazy. And then we cut to the ring and he's already there. Oh, you're here already. What just happened?
The camera person this episode needs to be talked to, because there's another moment we'll get to during the there was a moment in the Lay Sex Gods match that I was disappointed. I'm like, way to ruin the hard cam shot, bro.
there's a few, or the concessions match, which was like, what is happening?
Ooh, we'll talk about that because that's
We'll talk.
next.
We'll talk about that. All those poor hot dogs. So, I love that CM Punk was there. I'm sorry, my brain is moving faster than my mouth will let me talk. I love that CM Punk is there. I'm happy CM Punk has a place to wrestle. Again, it's hard for me to disassociate everything and anything I've ever heard about CM Punk every time I see CM Punk now. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, I've heard unprofessional things, I've heard mixed things, I've heard he's great, I've heard this, I've heard that. So now I'm not sure if I'm watching to see him wrestle because I haven't seen a lot of him actually. Because like we talked, the bulk of his career I wasn't watching wrestling, and now that he's back, I'm like, all right, you're here, cool. But here's all the thing. It's because he's that kind of personality, right? He's bigger than his persona. I know more about him for various reasons, which the greats you always do. This was a clusterfuck. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? Are we gonna get demonetized? Can you
We're
for saying
past the
that?
time limit, so we're good.
Past the time limit. That's fine. There's just stuff everywhere instead of an 8-man tag, like you said. Okay, cool. Are you friend? Why? Do you know each other? What's happening? So, again, it seemed a little arbitrary, but
Yeah, I guess my final thoughts on this opener. I thought the match was all right. Like I echo what you said, John, in the sense that I worry with the Hardys, especially Jeff, because they're still willing to do crazy stunts, and I always get worried for them because I was like, listen, we don't need y'all to get hurt. I want you to be peaceful. You have families, you have children you need to
right, you have children. You can see it in their eyes. They have these moments where you see in their eyes where they're like, "I know what I'm gonna do." No, Matt Hardy also disappeared for the second half of this match.
This was
All of a
yeah, I
sudden,
was like, what is happening?
Matt was there, and then all of a sudden something happened, and then it was a squash, and Jeff took the bullet. And then at the very end, it was like ding ding, and Matt crawling. I'm here. I was like, where you been? What happened? Which part of me is okay. You took care of yourself. That's fine.
It also makes sense of why Jeff got the majority of the beatdown too, because this collision tour that they're doing, as well as Forbidden Door, all of this is in Canada, and so Jeff Hardy got written off tonight, or yes, last night, because he's not allowed, just like one of the other Usos, because of his DUIs and his arrest, he's not allowed in Canada.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
it?
that's so Jeff is going to be taking some time off from television because while they're in Canada, he is not allowed.
Wait. I knew
Canada's
Canada
hardcore like that, man.
I knew Canada was like that, and I'm lucky I should be able to go there someday. I didn't know they were gonna. Oh man,
Again,
that's tough.
yeah, that's really tough, and this
Ah,
is based off of a couple of news reports.
yeah.
I say allegedly because there might be more reasons to it, so I'm going to say allegedly for the protection of this podcast. So allegedly, that's the reason he got written off, is because he's not allowed in Canada because of his
That's
arrests.
tough. That's fair. I know he's got some priors, and there's been a few things floating around him for years. Oh, that's tough. I didn't. That makes way more sense.
Yeah.
That
So,
makes sense for a few pro wrestlers. I'm like, oh, that's why I never see you there.
oh
Okay.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, this was an all right match. There was a lot going on, and this really sets up for Collision, which I understand you got to set up your other two TV shows, but
I
I
gotta watch Collusion. Do I have to watch Collusion? Should I watch Collusion?
so I will say
Should we talk about that elsewhere?
no, I could say it real quickly. If you want to know our thoughts on Collision, you should check out Adolfo's review, who reviewed the premiere
Hey, there
episode last
it
week.
is.
Him and his wife Alice did the review. It was a lot of fun to watch. I think Collision was successful in its premiere episode. It was a lot of fun. It really gave me echoes of like fun house shows mixed with 80s styles wrestling, in the sense they got Elton John Saturdays All Right to Fight as the Collision theme song.
Oh, I thought you were gonna have. They got Elton John in the ring.
No, but that getting the
Dropping
Elton John
promos.
song, getting the Elton John song as the theme song was like, Tony Khan, you mad lad. But it
Tony
screams
Khan.
like 80s wrestling and house shows, which is what the vibe of Collision seems to be going for so far.
I love that stuff. Okay, maybe
I
I should.
think
If that's the
if
style,
nothing
then I
else,
gotta
just
check it
watch
out.
it for entertainment wise.
We could do a whole. We should do a whole a traditional Bi-Conics episode on the house show culture and how different that is.
Oh my gosh.
Cool. Moving on. So the next match was this concession stands brawl, which I had not heard of this sort of gimmicky match before.
I had to look it up because Jeff Jarrett was
I
like,
never heard of this.
Jeff Jarrett last week was like, this has been a staple of 150 years of wrestling. I'm like, has it, Jeff, or are we talking out of our ass again?
I don't know. Jeff Jarrett has a thing for talking out of his ass. So between Jeff Jarrett and Mark Briscoe, I was laughing so hard. I texted a buddy of mine who was a security dude who I thought might have been working this event at this arena. He was actually working a different place, but I sent him a screenshot of it and he lost his mind because that would be a security folks nightmare to try and have two crowds, the action in the middle, and then what could have been actual people who worked at the arena running concessions in the middle of this madness. Okay. Before I talk all this, I'll say this. I think the idea of this match, being it as a gimmicky match, is actually fun. Something cool about this. I think they needed more than just one hot dog stand. I think if you're going to do something like this, you need to make it look like a cafeteria and a buffet and just go totally crazy if you're going to do a match like this. I think it was more of let's start in the concession stand and then end at the ring. Okay, fine. But then the next 5 minutes before we start coming to the ring, anything that could go wrong did go wrong. Every spot was messed up.
It was a mess.
Mark couldn't move the thing to get Jeff on it, so they abandoned it. You see him trying to move the huge, I don't know, that cooler, and the wheels are stuck. So they get mad and they walk away, and then they go to pick up a table, and the cloth falls over. And Jeff misses the table and hits the table. And then, there's 3 or 4 more other things where it's like, this spot ruined. And Jeff climbed on the table on his own without Mark picking him up and putting him on it. So here's my spot. It was so clunky.
And then what didn't help the clunkiness of it is like, before we got back into the ring, you just had Mark being outnumbered by Jeff and Jay and Karen and Sanjay and Satnam. It's just like 5-on-1. And then, it was just a whole mess. And then Papa Briscoe comes out to chokeslam.
So that was the joke, right? It was going to be Mark up here. And then as going to the ring, there's going to be a new someone interfering as we get all the way down to the ring. And this is totally legal, which Shivani must have said 10 times. This is totally legal. There's no rule. It's totally legal. And then the damn picture in the picture, which AEW TBS has a problem with.
Every promotion.
All of a sudden, we have this cool spot, probably the coolest spot, other than Papa Briscoe, of fighting on the stairs in the crowd. And Mark running up and down the steps to fight Jeff, and I don't remember who popped out at that time, trying to fight his way away from the steps in the crowd. I was trying to watch that super close up. This is awesome. That's super cool. In the thick of it. I could have saved the whole thing, but it was picture in picture and we lost a chunk of it. I think there was a stipulation of don't get mustard in Jeff Jarrett's face, only get it in his hair. Because it was funny when the mustard came out, Jeff turned his back and just flipped his hair into the mustard instead.
Like it's the money maker.
Yeah, not the face.
Which I will say, in a weird way, Jeff Jarrett, I was like, he's a handsome man.
If that's your type, that's your type. Jeff Jarrett's not ugly.
Listen, I'm easy. And plus, I'm like, the fact that you're that old and you are still in great shape and you still look pretty good. I was just like, all right, I see that.
Trust me, I'm easy.
Hello, we're on the Bi-Conics Wrestling channel. Hi. Happy Pride.
I'm going to be fine. You 6'1"? Oh, honey. So this could have been a really cool gimmicky match in a cool spot. I think this really could have worked. I felt a little rushed, and they panicked a little, in my opinion, at the top of this. And the best part was in the middle. That fight through the crowd thing was awesome. And then at the end, of course, there's 100 people in the ring and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, so let's get to the closing moments of this. So, obviously, like I said before, Briscoe gets outnumbered with Jarrett having Sanjay, Lethal, and Karen helping at different points. Papa Briscoe appears, chokeslams Lethal through a table, and takes out Sanjay. Karen low blows Papa Briscoe. Satnam Singh got involved a little bit. And then all hell breaks loose because then you have Christopher Daniels, Best Friends, the Lucha Brothers, all come out and attack Singh. And then the closing moments of this match, you have Penta hitting a super kick on Jared, and Mark wins with the most devastating move in professional wrestling, a schoolboy, a schoolboy for the win.
Yeah.
And I looked at that ending, I was like, oh, this feud is not over, is it? I'm like, damn it.
Okay, hang on. I'm looking at my notes. Did I say anything about the hot dogs? No. Lots of innocent hot dogs were lost on this day. So, yeah. Why is everybody in the ring? Do you know why everybody was here?
So this was my question when I saw who came out to help Mark. I'm just like, okay. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm just like, okay, it makes sense that Jeff has the help of Jay and Karen and Sanjay and Satnam because that's their whole little faction. That makes sense.
Sure.
In theory, because it wasn't even that long ago, if you wanted to get wrestlers that were involved with this little faction not too long ago, I would have actually put FTR helping out Mark because they had that match where Mark was the special guest referee for that tag team championship match not that long ago in Double
Which is
or
kind of
Nothing.
this just what started Jeff Jarrett angry at Briscoe again, right? That's what got heat for this concession stand match.
Shoot, I would have put FTR and Ricky or somebody else in here instead of the random amalgamation of Best Friends, the Lucha
You got to put
Brothers,
FTR
and Christopher Daniels.
FTR in the hot dog stand and have them go brrr and bust out.
I have
hot dog.
Yeah, I have a conspiracy theory. I think this was all the people that came out. I feel it was a last minute change because I was like, how are here's the thing, like from a booking standpoint, the wrestling fandom, you can like loosely connect the thread because Mark Briscoe has been in the industry for a very long time. He's part of one of the most iconic tag teams in the wrestling business with him and his deceased brother, Jay. The Briscoe brothers are like one of the top tag teams. I would have liked to see FTR come out, if not for anything, but this was fine. But I'm worried from a booking standpoint because number one, I don't think this feud is over, and I want it to be over, but it is what it is.
Sure.
And my other concern is that you had Best Friends, the Lucha Brothers, and Christopher Daniels all come out to help, like, even out the odds for Mark. If none of those 5 individuals get into a feud with Jeff Jarrett's little faction, then I'm just going to sit there. I'm like, what was the point?
Yeah. We'll see. It seems like not only AEW but WWE have a thing for writing themselves into a corner and then having a meh way of getting out of it. We could talk about this all day. We got to move on. We got stuff to do.
Yeah.
But next up was the Blackpool Combat Club backstage with Don Callis and Keshka.
Don't worry, you're not the only person on this podcast. Yeah, so it's Konosuke Takeshita.
Takeshita. I'm sorry. I should know that. My family in Japan. I apologize. Takeshita. Okay. I don't want to dissect the promo because that's not why the folks are here. I thought the John Moxley portion was great. Solid in the moment. You had a reason for talking. You're the reason why you're there. Fantastic. I don't know what's happened to Daniel Daniel Danielson.
I could tell you what happened, so hear me out.
What happened to him? What happened to him?
This goes back to what we were talking about before we started recording, because it felt like, and we'll talk about this in the main event, it feels like you have too many people involved in storylines, but this particular promo with Blackpool Combat Club, it felt like you have 2 different promos happening at the same time that are for 2 different storylines. So, for example, you have the Blackpool Combat Club, who's going to be fighting at Forbidden Door in this multi-man tag. So that's Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler, and you have one more person. I believe they're recruiting Shota Umino from New Japan, which phenomenal wrestler, by the way. I can't wait for that. But then you have the secondary story in this promo, the second promo, where literally Bryan Danielson is calling out and just berating his opponent, Kazuchika Okada. And so this is 2 different promos for 2 different stories happening in the span of one time. This, again, it's like too cluttered for my taste. I know they're all a unit, but you should have the group talk first and then pan over to Bryan by himself, or do a cutaway or something to Bryan by himself. Be like, listen, my boys got this. you guys got this, but let me take some time real quick, Okada, and then just run it down. But it was too much. I feel like they
Yeah,
needed to separate it and give it some space because this
I
was a
agree.
lot.
I think organization of the spot is what kind of did him in, and Moxley's a pro, and Brian Danielson is fantastic. I've always liked him on the mic. I think he's great. I think he looked really heady, like he was trying to get word perfect for clarity, and it just came off as disassociated and not connected. And it's like, why do I care? What's hard, and this is an example of it, they're trying to wedge in this Japan New Japan Pro Wrestling versus AEW thing in a very short amount of time. So it's, I don't like you. I don't like you either. Go. It's like, why?
Yeah, I understand a little bit, and I give it a little grace because even though Forbidden Door was announced, I think back in April, I believe, so we've known this has been happening for 2 months. I know there was probably a lot of logistics behind the scenes because you have to figure out, because you're working with two different companies that want to see, so who's going to go over, who's going to take a pin, which champions are going to be available. So far, it seems at least we are not getting the curse that was last year's Forbidden Door, where everybody was getting sick or hurt, and the card last year got rearranged so many times because of injuries and illnesses. It
We
was
talked about this
ridiculous.
because this was the third or fourth Forbidden Door. This
This
was
is
the
only
third
the
Forbidden Door.
second Forbidden Door.
Okay, because last year we were talking about Forbidden Door, and it was still great, but that was the caveat that you had talked about. Like, here's everything that went wrong. Imagine what it could have been if nobody was injured or sick or all hell broke loose.
There's only really one match that we got confirmed for Forbidden Door that I can see where injury had to make plans be reworked a little bit, which we'll get into the bumper before our main event segment.
Sure.
But
All
yeah,
right.
this was a
So
lot.
this interesting promo. I think John Moxley needs to do horror movies. I think John Moxley can totally do film. I think John Moxley should at least pursue that a little bit when he's not cutting his face and causing us trouble. I think John Moxley could be a bad cop on any Dick Wolf primetime Chicago med fire PD, whatever you want. I think he's got an acting career somewhere in there. Cool. Moving on. Okay. So we have this trios tag match. The Ocho, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki. Murder Grandpa. Action Andretti, Darius Martin, AR Fox. I loved the Japanese strong style in all of Dynamite the other day. And this was just, I love that stuff. Just hit me as hard as you can. Bang. Oh, that's it? Let me hit you as hard as I can. And they burst into dust. Like, it's just so good. And that's all I wanted to watch. All I wanted to watch. So maybe I need to jump on the New Japan Pro Wrestling stuff, but it was just really cool. I
Yeah.
was a little confused that there's still the Sammy Guevara Jericho thing happening after last week, and then all of a sudden they're out there for the tag, and I'm like, oh, that's right, we talked about that. I forgot. But I was also like, but why?
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
So I want to start by saying I thought this.
You haven't thought about this.
I have a couple of things just a lot, but the match itself, if we're gonna start with just the wrestling, I thought this was this was a lot of fun. This match was a lot of fun. This was really good. I never get tired of the crowd every time Minoru Suzuki's on American television that the audience is just screaming his theme song.
Oh yeah,
That part was great. And then this is where I have this is the other issue I had with the cameraman during this episode, was just that you got Suzuki to do the lace sex god pose in the ring, but man, way to screw up the hard cam shot. Like, because it's just showing them doing it, and Sammy's in the corner over there. He's just, what is happening? What am I doing with my life? I'm like, I wanted to see the front of this pose. That was like the hard cam shot. You ruined it. You ruined it. But other than that, I feel like this was the first, like, how do I explain this? This match tonight was the first, like, actual, this was a Dynamite match because it got all the bunch of stuff. You had strong style, you had flips, you had flying stuff, you had crazy antics, a bunch of near falls. This match was a lot of fun.
John Woo drop kick,
which sucks because this match was great. And of course, Jericho makes Darius tap to the Lion Tamer, which gives Murder Grandpa, Suzuki, Sammy, and Chris the win here. And then we got this weird promo at the end of this match. It was weird.
So my notes, actually, right after this, I want to talk to you about it. Hang on, let me find this. I don't want to mess this up. promo right after matches are brutal. Jericho sounds like he's dying. So I just forgot her name. She's fantastic. She's talking to Chris and just
Renee,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, Renee, yeah, here, go ahead, talk to me." And Chris just trying to get any words out. And I
Breathe,
mean,
my dude.
yeah, I can't. I don't have great cardio either. But come on, the promoters and planners got to do something to help you out. Do this backstage. Pre-film it. Put it on camera. Make them look like. Don't do it like that. Give me a segment in between and then go talk to them like they did for Orange Cassidy a few weeks back and last week. You don't need to do it right now. There's no pressure. So that's tough and muted the whole thing. Again, what? Go ahead. Talk about what happens next before I rant about something else.
Yeah, we could continue the rant because I'll rant about this promo. Jericho's out of breath. Renee's interviewing him. So Renee brings up that Jericho and Sting coming face to face last week, and Jericho basically saying that it was a monumental moment because it's never happened before. But Jericho's wasn't excited because he says that Sting is selfish and egotistical. I was like, huh? I was like, okay, I know we're setting up a feud here, but I was like, huh? Like the Tim Allen,
Which is funny that for anyone who's been following Sting forever, the opposite is true, right? Sting has been known as the nicest, most supportive, calmest dude. That's why Sting always works.
for
I've never
reals.
heard anyone say anything bad about Sting ever. Even indie folks I know who worked in Canada and Calgary had just brief works with Sting were like, yeah, he's the nicest, kindest, sweetest guy. You would never know.
Yeah,
Sometimes, and is that same incognito, like you wouldn't know it's Sting in public unless you really looked at him or he went, "Hi, my name's Sting." You're like, "Oh my God, that's you!" Like totally a normal, nicest guy. But for Chris Jericho, has a reputation of being the ego one.
but then this promo takes a left turn because then Jericho calls Sting a whore for some reason. I was like, what is happening, Jericho?
That was an interesting stretch. I was like, "I don't like you. You're a whore." Wait, what?
I was like, what is happening? And then he proceeds to say that Les Sex Gods, Les Suzuki Gods, whatever you want to call them, want to challenge Sting, Darby, and a partner of their choice in a 6-man match at Forbidden Door. Jericho then says that Sting is a coward, and then whose music should hit but Sting, and comes out with Darby Allin. And Sting's basically, once he gets to the ring, or he gets the mic and says that he basically calls Jericho uptight, but Sting plans on having some fun with Jericho on Sunday, and they accept the challenge. And then Darby proceeds to close this out by saying that Jericho has made a lot of enemies and that Sting and him will be able to find a partner. Jericho asks who that is, and Darby says that Jericho will find out when they make that announcement on Collision on Saturday.
So there were
yeah.
there are two spots that happen here that I thought were mistakes. One was Jericho holding that sanctimonious and cutting himself off and waiting a good 45 seconds for the music to start. You're nothing but a selfish, sanctimonious, stupid fate. Boom. And then the music goes. Okay, that was a miss. But I thought Darby forgot the answer. There was this like, "Oh yeah," because Chris Jericho's kneeling. Who's it going to be? Who do you got for me? Who's coming? And it's silent for about 5 seconds. And Darby's, "I'll let you know this weekend." And then just walks away.
I think if the delivery had been done better, that would have been like, cool, I'm excited. This is, or even
If Darby had answered the question,
or
like,
even
yeah.
ad lib it a bit. I'll tell you on Collision this Saturday and walk away. I've been like, that's fine.
That's how language and rhetoric works. That would have been great. But
or
no, there was a good 12-second.
Or even if I was Darby, I was just like, Chris, patience is a virtue. You're just going to have to wait till Collision to find out and then leave.
I like Darby. I saw the video of him and Orange Cassidy skateboarding and him jumping off the ropes and doing all the cool stuff. And he seems like the coolest dude. He would probably listen to the same music as me. Darby Allin seems great. He needs to just spend like a month on the microphone and just work that out. Because it seems like he gets, I don't know, maybe shy or introverted or has a moment of where he gets heady on the microphone. But sometimes his words, he comes off as meek and not connected. And not when you got MJF and some of these other folks right on top of you. You're going to look small. And he's got a character and a gimmick that is not small. He got to blow that shit up. So that was unfortunate. But We'll find out this Sunday who they're partnering with. Who's their partner? Who do you think?
Let's see. It's
Is it someone we've never seen before, or is it someone who's already on the roster?
Let me think. I'm trying to think.
Is
So,
it Sabu?
oh God, I hope not. No offense to Sabu, but like after misuse of him at Double or Nothing and that God forsaken, that was the most safest unsanctioned match.
Don't relive anything.
So
We're in Chicago, so it could be Mr. T.
I don't
He-
know because it's Forbidden Door. I'm assuming it might be somebody from New Japan. I'm just trying to go through the New Japan roster of who it might be.
Could be.
Which is, you know what? Honestly,
Be Simon Miller.
Oh God, that'd be so great. I would love.
Wouldn't that be cool if all of a sudden it's some?
Well, I'm
guy
trying to
who-
think because who did they? I'm pretty sure it's one of. You know what? I would be fine if it was like even with some of the junior weight heavy, the junior weight heavy champion Hiromu Tanahashi would be great because
Sure.
I just in this match Darby's gonna be Darby. He's gonna be doing all the crazy like Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy shit we
Sure.
know. And I'm trying to think because it's gonna be Sammy, Minoru Suzuki, and Chris Jericho taking on Darby Sting. I'm trying to. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of the former members of Bullet Club. So that could be El Phantasmo. If they let Hikuleo be here, I would love to see one of the Gorillas of Destiny, Tamatanga, be there. But again, you're working with two companies, and you can't get everybody on the card. So you have to figure it. Or it could be also any of the New Japan Strong kids. There's so much to work with, but I honestly don't know. But I think it should be one of the junior. It should either be the junior heavyweight champion or any of the wrestlers in New Japan's junior division because you have Sammy who's going to be flying all over the place. So you need somebody for Darby and Sting to be also match that flippiness of it. I also wouldn't be surprised if they pulled from Ring of Honor, but there's just too many pools to pull from.
It's a matter of, I think it's who gets the pop, right? Who's going to really sell? Now you've built it up and you got some big names in there. I don't even know. I don't know New Japan like I probably should going into Forbidden Door, which is fine because I get to learn about all of them and I'm a big strong style guy. I don't know. Part of me and it thinks that they're going to pull some elite veteran thing and someone we haven't thought of and thought about forever and it's going to be somebody brand new. Oh my god, they're here thing. Which I don't even want to say where my heart and head goes because it's cliche and it's a Vince McMahon trope. There's a part of me that I think I know, and maybe I'll text it to you. Maybe I'll say it. I'll save it for Forbidden Door because there's an old friend of Sting's 30 years ago. I wonder what he's doing right now.
Ah.
But I digress. I might have said too much. That might have been too much.
It's fine. Let us know in the comments below if you watched this before Forbidden Door. Who do you think that partner's going to be? Actually, before Collision, because we're gonna get that announcement on Saturday.
Did you? I mean, if you're watching this way ahead of time or way later, did we get it right? Or were we even close?
Were we even close? Okay.
Way off. Was it Goldberg? Who showed up at
Hi.
Forbidden Door?
Oh my goodness. So
Goldberg is here. Goldberg is here. And that music goes dun dun.
Alrighty. So before we get to this elite promo, so then we have this little small segment where they talk about the blind eliminator tag team gauntlet thing they're about to do. So basically the way that it works is that all the teams will be, it's weird because it's similar to like how WCW did the Battle Bowl where they just pair two singles wrestlers randomly together into a random ass tag team. And the winner of this blind eliminator is going to get a tag team championship opportunity, which tells me, okay, so y'all don't want to you don't want to do FTR versus the Acclaimed right now. Okay, that's fine. Because it seems that the Acclaimed is not done in the Trios Championship League right now. So I'm cool with that, but it's really interesting. And that kind of takes into play later when we get to this Adam Cole promo because Tony Schiavone just being Tony Schiavone, like we find out the first team and I'm just like, I should have seen it coming, but we'll talk about that more. So let's talk about this elite promo.
Sure.
So we have Paige, the Bucks, and Kenny. Paige says that because Kenny is fighting Will Ospreay, that leaves them with two openings in the team, and that the elite have friends all over. Kenny says that there's a lot of people that hate Blackpool Combat Club, but they found a friend. And who said friend is that? But the one and only Eddie Kingston. Fuck your life. Eddie.
I love that Eddie Kingston is just a dad. Like he's just a normal dad dude, New Yorker who's just I don't care. I'm gonna get in the ring and I'm gonna smash you. It's like, oh yeah, I'm fine with that. Anyway, carry on.
So Kingston pops up into the promo and he basically runs down. Kingston says that him and the Elite are not friends because of what happened at the horrible ending to that barbed wire death match at Revolution 2 years ago. Or trying to run them over with a car and a truck because that also happened a little bit later, which is crazy. I love that Eddie's bringing up past things that have happened in
Yeah.
AEW, which is great. And he doesn't respect the Blackpool Combat Club, but he doesn't even respect the Elite, but they have a common enemy. And so Kingston ends this promo by saying that he gets to pick who the final member in this 5-on-5 is going to be, but he'll announce that out in the ring later tonight. And then that's where the promo ends. So I was like, okay, this is the setup for what happens at the main promo event, because technically your wrestling main event was before that of the night, which we'll get into. This promo was all right. Again, you're building up to the 5-on-5.
This was not my favorite promo of the night. We'll talk about that one a little bit later. But this one served its purpose. It was fine. There was nothing wrong. I'm not going to go full acting coach on here. I did look up, and this kind of took me out of the promo, and this is probably too much information, but I was looking at Kenny Omega's chest, and I was like, did he get heart surgery? Because there's this huge rip in between his pectoral muscles, and I was like, because he had the sports hernia, which is a hernia in the stomach, which is horrifying and painful. But like, it almost looked like there was a scar on his chest. So for a good, I don't know, 5 minutes, I was looking that up and then had to rewind to watch the promo. Like, did
I
Kenny
don't
Omega
remember,
just
but I know when Kenny left, he left because he had to have a multitude of surgeries done.
He had like 4 or 5. He had the sports hernia in his knee. He had a shoulder thing, and then
Something like that.
one other one.
It was a lot of them done all at once, and that's why he was gone for a long time. And even when he initially came back too, the couple of weeks that he was wrestling, we remember like he was wearing like the compression shirt, and then I think he had a brace during one match at one point too.
Yeah.
And I was like, Kenny, please don't hurt yourself. Don't die.
Please don't die. Yeah, please don't. He had some work done, so they say. So yeah, I thought the promo was fine. Nothing. We're still doing the promo tropes of the someone who's right off camera walking in thing, which I hope someday we change that. There's 100 ideas I have, but it's easy, it's quick and dirty. That's how wrestling wants to do it. I'm interested to see these matches and see where they go. It builds up the Will Ospreay Omega thing, which I'm really excited about.
We'll talk about Will in a little bit.
Okay. After that, Adam Cole comes to the ring.
It's story time with Adam Cole, babe.
Story time with Adam Cole. My wife hates Adam Cole because every time she tunes in and watches AEW, she's, who is this guy? And I have to explain, like, no, he's a good guy. He's not full of himself. He's actually the nice guy. And she's, no, I don't like it. Oh, okay, sorry. She just walks away. It's like, all right, fine. You should see this MGF guy. I love that they talked about the match they had last week, which right now is in my top 5 for best matches of the year.
That ending was such a swerve.
It's right there, probably partly because of the plot and the ending. I'm glad that Adam Cole calls out the MGF. MGF comes down to the ring, throws his shots at Chicago, talks about the Panama Playboy, and there's a brief moment of respect. You could see these two actually like working with each other. Been around forever. They're professionals. These two are great. And in my opinion, they're probably one of the 5 wrestlers holding up AEW. 2 of them, like there's 5 marquee folks, and there's one of them. 2 of them. Tony Schiavone stands up from the announcer's table with the typical WCW, excuse me, gentlemen, thing, and interrupts the promo. Talks about the lottery names that were pulled out of the basket. One being the Adam Cole, the other being the MJF. And then they have the normal high school squabble of, I'm not tagging with him. I'm not tagging with him. I'm not working with you. I'm not working with you.
Before this announcement was made, though, we had the best part of this promo for me was the double shut up, Shivani, from both of them.
Was that planned, or did they just totally drop that?
I think it was planned, but it was executed where they both said it at the exact same time. The duration was the same. I was just
the same.
It was so beautiful.
And if you watch MGF, he's trying so hard not to laugh. His face is tense.
It's like, shut up, Shivani.
He's just holding that look of like, that just happened. Shut up, Shivani.
Yeah, and then like you said, it's the back and forth. I'm not going to tag with him. I'm not going to tag with
Right.
him. And then MJF is, I shouldn't be wrestling every week, which then proceeds to show Hiroshi Tanahashi on the video screen, basically saying that he's going to show the power of New Japan and why he is the ace this Sunday. And then Adam Cole like gives us a masterclass on how to gaslight people 101 right here, where Cole questions if MJF thinks that Tanahashi is better than him and gaslights him into accepting the match against Tanahashi at Forbidden Door. And then Cole proceeds to end the promo by saying, "Good luck, partner," as he walks away. And then I love the hard camera shot where it just is on MJF's feds, and you could see the wheels turning. Oh, this punk just goaded me into accepting this match. And the facial expressions just changing in the moments. He's, hold up, wait a minute.
This was theater. This was perfect. Adam Cole has a tactic, switches his tactic, gets the objective, leaves the hero. I don't want to be your partner. You know what? I do want to be your partner. Go get him, partner. Ah, this is brilliant.
So this
I thought that was
team,
great.
yeah, this promo made me, okay, will they, won't they, in this blind tag. It just depends on who else they're going to put randomly together for this eliminator tournament. But my question is that we know we're going to get a rematch for that championship. The question is, do we get it on a special TV program this summer? Do we get it at All in Wembley? Or do we drag this all the way out to All Out in September?
Or do we drop it completely?
That is also a possibility. I would hope that they would put it in for All In, maybe because I feel that there's the risk of the fans losing interest if you try to drag it out all the way to All Out in September.
All of the above, all over the place.
And who knows?
All over again.
They might pull what they did with the TBS championship and just do it randomly on a week of Dynamite, and then that be it.
Yeah, which I always, when there's TV titles, I'm always like, why do they have those? But that was actually a really good match. We'll talk about that in a minute too.
It was a good match, but I have problems with storytelling with it.
So we jump from there. We move on to the Orange Cassidy, and then the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, Shibata, and then Daniel Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr.
Before we get to that match, we did get...
There's more.
Yeah.
Something?
I mean, it's not really important, but it is important because one of these is a Forbidden Door match. We do get the bracket for the Owen Hart Cup for the men and women.
That's right. Yeah,
so there are 8 individuals for both the men and the women's tournament, and then it breaks it down to when these matches are happening. So on the men's side, at Forbidden Door, you have CM Punk taking on Satoshi Kojima. On the June 29th episode of Collision, it'll be Mr. returning Roderick Strong taking on Samoa Mimosa Joe. Then you have Dustin Rhodes versus Powerhouse Hobbs, and then Rock Hard Juice Robinson versus Ricky Starks. I'm like, okay, y'all are going to fight on Collision, and then they're going to fight. Okay, sure. So I'm looking at the men's bracket. I'm like, oh, okay, so Punk's definitely winning this, but we are going to get some fun matches out of this tournament, so this should be fun. Yeah.
There's some fun stuff in there. I love that it's the Owen Hart Foundation. I love everything about it. I think that this is does any of this happen in Canada, or is this all in the States?
I think they're having this whole entire tournament during the Canada tour, which is great.
The tour. Sorry, Jeff, you can't go. I think that's great. I think it's a great nod to the Owen Hart. I heard about this a few months back, and I thought that's fantastic. I'm really happy they're doing that.
Yeah, this is the second year that they're doing it. Last year's tournament was a lot of fun. Though a lot of people were soured on the winner, but it made sense because Adam Cole had just got to the company. So Adam and his IRL fiance, girlfriend, they're not married quite yet. Britt Baker won the tournament. So like the couple won, which was fine. And then in the women's bracket for next week on Dynamite, Britt is taking on Ruby Soho. Rampage, we'll see Anna Jay versus Sky Blue. On Collision, we will see Nyla Rose taking on New Japan Strong Women's Champion Willow Nightingale. And then the 0 hour or the pre-show for Forbidden Door, you will see Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena taking on Billy Starks. So I get why these women were chosen, but I feel that you have a whole stack of a women's roster. And my issue is I know Willow draws in the crowd and the crowd loves her, but Homegirl is having a match at Forbidden Door as well. We know that she's not going to win that match, but we'll get there when we get that little promo from Tony, because I believe this is just a secondary match because the original person that was supposed to be in Willow's spot can't do it. But we'll talk about it. My match of the night is next. This fucking tag team match between Orange and Katsuyori Shibata taking on Daniel Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr. This match had everything. It had fun wrestling, great spots. The fucking dance off between Daniel Garcia and Orange Cassidy was hilarious.
I had no real issues with this match. I had a picture in picture issue with this match because again, the picture in picture took out some of the cool stuff that was happening. It always seems like when they cut away, the cool stuff happens. I thought that was all great. I love seeing some strong style in the ring. I don't know much about either of these, Daniel Garcia or Zack Sabre Jr. I didn't know anything about him. I loved that weird neck crank move thing that came out of nowhere for me. And then Orange Cassidy just sells the shit out of it. That was horrifying. What was that? I love ripping the PT tape off of Orange Cassidy's back, which makes me laugh and sad at the same time. Nobody needs it. No.
So
Um,
yeah, these four. So I'm gonna nerd out a little bit because
you can't. Yeah. Hey.
these I was really, when they announced this match last week on Dynamite, this was the match that I was looking forward to because all four of these individual wrestlers are so good. And all four of these wrestlers, a lot of people tend to forget how technical they all can be too,
Right.
especially Zack Sabre Jr.
I was
Zach
gonna say.
Zach is basically this generation's Brian Danielson. He is like literally the younger version of Brian,
Really?
because Brian Danielson is considered like one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, and Zach is
Sure.
like the younger version of him because Zach is really good. There's a reason he's New Japan's TV champion, which is weird. But Daniel Garcia is also very technical. He's doing this entertainer gimmick again. I still think he should have kicked Jericho in the face when they were doing teasing the breakup between him and the JAS, but it is what it is. Katsuyori Shibata, to the fact that I'm still seeing him wrestle in this ring, given what had happened to him, and for him to come back and still wrestle and be the Ring of Honor Pure Champion is great.
What happened? What happened to him? I don't know what happened to him.
Katsuyori Shibata, of course, Japanese wrestling is very hard hitting, strong style, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there was a brain injury that happened to Shibata, and he
What?
passed out in the middle of the match and had to be rushed to emergency surgery. And they had to like deconstruct and reconstruct his skull and parts of the brain and things.
What?
Yeah, it was bad, and nobody knew if he was going to be able to wrestle again for fear of him getting one small concussion can make his brain bleed and everything. And it's been years since we have seen him in a wrestling ring, and it's only been like in the last couple of months he came back and now he's wrestling again. So this is like a
No
true,
way. I
like
didn't know.
a true underdog, like comeback from the brink of retirement, like thing.
Wow.
I was like, Shibata is that dude. And of course, it's crazy because during this time while he's recovering, he has a dojo in Los Angeles. So he's been training the New Japan Strong kids that are coming out of the LA dojo as well. And now that he's been cleared, this man has put on some phenomenal matches. And for him to team with Orange is great. So the conclusion of this match, Orange accidentally hits the orange punch on Shibata, which gives Garcia the chance to roll up with a surprise roll up to get Zach and him the win. And then we get the announcement, and we'll run through everything. But we get a fatal four-way between these four for the International Championship. God, I'm ready. Let's go.
That makes me excited. I'm accidentally just went down the rabbit hole of what happened to this guy, and this is nuts. He's been around forever. That's why he's familiar. I've seen his MMA fights. Okay. I know who you are. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I know. All right. That's crazy. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he looks so good. I never would have known. I thought he was a staple. I was going to ask you about him. Like, Shibata's great. Wow. Okay. That's more homework for me to do. Moving on. I know we're up against it. Okay, this was my favorite promo of the night. Was this Alex Marvel, Will Ospreay catching you in the back?
Done.
I like this. It was cinematic to me. Alex Marvel's acting was a little shticky, but I loved everything that Will Ospreay and Callis did. I thought it was dark. It was ominous. The acting was on target. They were looking at each other. They weren't casually making glances to the camera or off or away or trying to remember lines. Will Ospreay came off as a bad man to me. they got this hate of Canada and hate of America all in one sentence, talking about, oh, it was a good line. Where'd it go? Entitlement and whatever else in Toronto. They're like Americans. A great line. I thought this was great. It was quick. It was less than a minute long. Boom, and hit you hard. And I was interested. And then it cut away, faded out. It was like, yeah, that was great. I am all that. Those are the promos that I always seem to like.
And honestly, it's crazy because since New Japan really doesn't have weekly TV shows like that all the time, they do a lot of like circuit house shows, and then they have their big pay-per-views and special shows all throughout Japan. To see the dynamic shift between the roles that Will and Kenny have been playing has been nuts, because their first encounter this year was at Wrestle Kingdom 17, where Kenny beat Will to become the new IWGP United States champion. And in that match, Will was the face and Kenny was the heel in New Japan.
Right.
Now that
I just read about this, yeah.
Now that we're on American soil, Kenny is the face going into this match and Will is the heel. And it's just been so seamless of how they were able to switch without so much of convoluted like plot structure and everything.
Yeah, and they're another one. They've been working together for
For a
20
very
years.
long time.
Like, they're roommates, they're friends. Like, they're really good at what they do, which makes me really excited to get to see them work together. I think I talked about this on the other podcast. I was accidentally watching Will Ospreay highlights on Instagram. I was like, who is this guy? This guy's amazing. That's Will Ospreay. It's like, that's Will Ospreay? What? So I'm excited to learn more about him and what he does. Moving on. So we get to the TBS Championship match. Another TV title.
Before that, real quick though. So we did get a little vignette with Tony Storm, your AEW.
Right.
This is how insignificant the AEW Women's Champion is right now. This is what makes me mad.
Better notes than I do. Sorry, Tony. Didn't mean to jump over you. Go ahead.
And this is where I've been talking about this throughout the reviews so far, but this is where we get to it. So we get this quick Tony Storm vignette. She says that Willow Nightingale doesn't deserve to be champion, that Willow says that she doesn't. And then we get a back and forth like video that Willow just says she doesn't like Tony's attitude, but she respects the fight in Tony. And then goes back to Tony saying she doesn't respect Willow's attitude. So basically, we're getting Tony Storm versus Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's Championship at Forbidden Door. The promo, it did what it needed to do to set up this match at Forbidden Door, but this is where
it fell flat following my favorite promo.
I know, but here's the reason I think it fell flat, because now this is a conspiracy theory. I have no evidence to back this up, but follow me down this trail, right? Okay. Willow, in my head, Willow wasn't supposed to be in this position facing Tony. And I think I know who was, but she's injured, so there was no way she was going to be able to.
Who got hurt?
I think it was supposed to be Tony Storm versus Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks. So I think that we were supposed to get that match. But because Mercedes got injured in a match against Willow to be crowned the inaugural New Japan Strong Women's Champion last month, that's why I think this is a secondary match. And I also think, and this also confirms to me, I think AEW couldn't reach out or didn't get enough clearance in time to grab some of the girls from Stardom to come on over.
Sure.
Which sucks because Stardom and New Japan are very separate. But I was like, don't get me wrong, I love Willow and I'm so happy she's champion, but I'm thinking about some of the other girls that are a part of the New Japan Stardom women's circuit, and I'm just like, you couldn't have pulled Kairi, you could have pulled Julia if you really wanted to, Mayu Iwatani would have been great, and I know there's issues with...
You were just talking about her the other day. That name's very familiar.
So if you're thinking about Japanese women wrestlers, if you're looking at Stardom or even the New Japan's like brief women's division, because they cross-pollinate, I think Kairi, Mercedes, Mayu Iwatani, Julia, or even like Starlight Kid, like any of the big-time girls that are currently champions in Stardom, I think would have been fun. Or even grab some of the other girls that have... I would have liked Hikaru Shida versus Tony. Or... You have Japanese wrestling talent in the AEW women's roster, and they're not on the show.
Yeah. I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that makes total sense. Something doesn't seem right that it was wedged in so quickly. And over the last 3.5 weeks, all of a sudden it appeared. Wait, what?
And it sucks because they did this last year at Forbidden Door 2 because we had the AEW Women's Championship defended, and it was at that time champion Thunder Rosa taking on Toni Storm. So Toni, this is her second Forbidden Door, second year in a row where she's in this position, but now she's champion. Willow's not going to win, but I think it still should be a fun match. But I could tell that I think Mercedes was supposed to be in Willow's spot.
Fair.
So hopefully down the road we still get Mercedes coming to AEW for a little bit.
That seems fair.
Wrestling. But let's talk about this actual next match because technically this is the main event in terms of wrestling wise.
This was technically the main event. Chris Stratlander versus Taya
Valkyrie.
I had heard of Chris Stratlander, didn't know a lot about her. I remember from Double or Nothing, like I saw those matches. I don't know the significance of the sign language. If you do, or anyone else does, let me know. I think it's a beautiful gesture. I've worked with deaf kids in the past, and I think that's really great that she does that.
I think she started doing that, but it was also a staple. Okay. Chris has been out for almost a year and a half due to a torn ACL. And as we know, the ACL injuries are like long recovery time.
It's 12 to 18 months no matter what.
Yeah. And so before she got hurt and before she went to go get surgery and recover, her gimmick, because the current gimmick that she has right now, this wasn't her before she got
She had an alien, wasn't she?
She
an
was
alien
the
or
silent
something?
alien thing that would boop your nose and do sign language to
Yeah,
communicate, and she was part of
okay.
she was part of the Best Friends faction with Best Friends and Orange in them.
I remember that.
But she was a badass still, and she still is a badass.
She's totally a badass. She's great.
I talked about this on the Rampage review last week with Adolfo, because this is really the first time that Chris is on her own and she's actually talking now, and promo wise it was like we both agreed she needs a little more time on the work, but her in-ring work is amazing. That moonsault from the ring apron to Taya was a beautiful thing to see, and not only is she agile, she's really strong too.
Oh yeah, she's yoked. They were both throwing each other around and selling it. I loved this match. I thought it was a lot of fun. There's some great work outside of the ring that I thought was great. There was I can't remember the move. There was something that happened right outside the apron, right in the beginning. I can't remember. That was really super cool. I should have taken better notes. I thought this match was great. Probably why I don't have notes is that I was watching the whole match.
Honestly, this match was awesome. But again, because it's crazy how when you do weekly reviews that you could see these things play out, because on Friday, one of the things that I talked about on the Rampage review was that I don't want to see this match be a one and done kind of thing. I was like, I hope we get a build towards a championship match, and then come on Dynamite be like, oh, they're having this championship match, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. Again, and we could do a whole thing on TV titles and the history of TBS had a title. I remember there was a TNT title a long time ago. I remember there was a USA Network tried to have a title that was only theirs way back in the early aughts, I want to say. Or somewhere in there. Like, they mean something, sure, but they're defended randomly and exchanged, and at least what I remember of TV titles and whatnot. So that happened. That was a great win for her. And then we moved to the final kind of sort of promo.
Yeah.
Leading into all this, whatever this is.
Yeah,
madness at
we'll
the end of the
dissect
show.
that. But of course, as always, we get the Tony Schiavone. I'm going to speak at 1,000,000 miles per hour to tell you what's happening on Rampage and Collision. So on Rampage, MJF will be appearing on Rampage for the first time ever. You have Jungle Boy taking on Doki from New Japan. Then you have, again, I mean, we just had this match last week on Rampage, but we're adding new people in. So you have Chaos, which is Best Friends, Rocky Romero, and Yo from New Japan taking on the United Empire, which is going to consist of Jeff Cobb, Will Ospreay, and Kyle Fletcher, with the addition of Swerve Strickland for some reason.
Yeah, just because.
I guess. Then you're going to get Anna Jay versus Sky Blue in one of the Owen Hart Cup Women Tournament Cup matches. The Acclaimed will be in action, which means they're probably going to squash the local talent. And then you're going to hear from Adam Cole. And then on Coalition, Swerve is pulling double duty because he's going to be taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi, which is crazy. Brody King will be taking on Andrade El Idolo. I can't wait because Brody King is awesome, and I'm happy to see Andrade back. We find out who Sting and Darby's partner was going to be. Then you have CM FTR, which is CM Punk and FTR, along with Ricky Starks taking on Bullet Club Gold and the Guns. and then Nyla Rose versus Willow Nightingale in another women's Owen Hart Cup tournament. All right, let's dissect the segment because this was a mess. It was
This was a
chaos.
this was a shit show, basically. Okay, so Eddie comes into the ring to talk about who's in his team. He's putting on a shirt while on the mic, which tells
Again,
me,
Eddie Kingston is
which
like
is
that
like,
wrestling dad. He don't give no
yeah, he
fucks.
just said that. It was just like, hang on, I've been eating a lot of ice cream. Hang on, and puts on a shirt. And I'm like, what? Okay, did we need that bit? He starts talking about who he's teaming up with and who he really doesn't like. And then John Moxley comes walking through the crowd to interrupt said promo, goes in there, gets face to face, delivers the supervillain TV lines. You know how this goes. If they stand behind you, protect them. If they stand beside you, respect them. If they stand against you, destroy them. You're drawing a line at Forbidden Door, gets interrupted. No, you're drawing a line. So it turns into two dads fighting at a T-ball match.
But that part I
Who's
actually
out? Who
liked.
was in?
I love that
It
line.
was.
It's just,
But
I
this was-
didn't draw the line. You drew the line.
I'm not saying I don't watch dads fight at a T-ball match. I'm excited to watch dads fight at a
No,
T-ball match.
I was just,
had
yeah.
that
It was
energy.
It was great. See, that was the part of the promo I thought was awesome. But then everything that happened afterwards, when it went off the rails.
So the BC shows up and runs in, and then I'm looking at notes from my own and AEW. And Danielson grabs the microphone, says he's not coming out, calls out Okada. There's music for the Rainmaker, that's his name. And then it's just a mess.
So let's try to go through this in chronological order really
You
quickly.
can try. I'm trying to remember it. I don't remember it chronologically at all because it was just stuff.
Yeah, so we'll go play by play and we'll try to go to chrono. So as you said, this whole segment starts out with Eddie Kingston coming out to reveal the partner. He reiterates that he's teaming up with the Elite because he doesn't like Claudio. Because I think we're still going to get that feud in Ring of Honor. That's a different show. Check that out tomorrow. Moxley makes his way, tells Kingston that if he's going to stand against him, he's going to destroy him. Kingston says that Mox drew the line when he teamed up with Claudio. And then Kingston reveals that the fifth man is going to be the Stone Pitbull of New Japan, Tomohiro Ishii. Which is funny enough because Ishii hits hard, but he's part of Orange Cassidy's Chaos faction in New Japan, which they're all goofy too, which is crazy to think about.
But Eddie just said it as a matter of fact, like, it's Ishii, and then walks away. Didn't build it up or anything.
Which sucks
walks
because Tomohiro did a lot of US shows last summer. He was supposed to be part of the Fatal 4-Way for the inaugural, what was then known as the Intercontinental AEW Championship. But he was injured with a knee injury, and so that's where Clark Connors took in the spot and substituted in to face off against Malachi Black, Pac, and Miro. That match was phenomenal, by the way. And it's sad that this was the matter of how Eddie's delivery of it made it seem like, oh, he's also in this match. I'm like, Eddie, the US fans love Ishii. Give it a little more gravitas, but it is what it is. And then at this point, this was in the Blackpool Combat Club. They jump Eddie, and they also gang up on Ishii. And the Danielson grabs the mic. And this makes no sense to me because earlier in the night, like Danielson said, Okada's not in the building, and then we proceed to like this one is like, "Where's Okada?" I'm like, "Bro, you said he wasn't."
That's right.
I was like, the continuity is not matching up.
I know he's not here. He's not in the building. And then he says, "I know you're not going to come out here. You're
But
not.
where are
out
you?"
here. Where is she?"
Oh my gosh. Where's Rachel?
Yeah, but that's a bad writing yourself into a corner. I know you're not here. He's gonna be there. Okay, I'll just say he's not gonna walk out. Come on, don't need to don't bait the audience too much because
I was like, we're us wrestling fans. I feel like we're smart in most regards because then Danielson asks, "Where's Okada?" He says he's gonna stomp Ishii's face in, and then we hear the coin drop, and Okada comes out, and he gets in Bryan's face. Wheeler attacks Okada. Bryan tries to go for a running knee, but accidentally hits Wheeler. Okada goes for the Rainmaker on Bryan, but he escapes. And Okada, being the consummate face, to send a message to the heel, grabs Wheeler, points to Bryan, and then hits the Rainmaker on Wheeler Yuta. And then everybody's like, Okada and Danielson are just facing off as Dynamite goes off the air. And then we later get confirmation that Okada versus Danielson will be the main event for Forbidden Door, which means to tell me that I think Kenny versus will be the semi-main event before that. It has to
Yeah,
be.
it better be. There was an interesting. I think it cleaned up well once Okada got there. Leading up to it was just, what is happening? Why are you doing this? It almost felt, as an improv guy, it almost felt, guys, we got 45 seconds. Wrap this up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. And it's just like loose end, tied, solved, problem, bang, go. Okada's here. Which is, could mean a lot of things. There's a few bits here that were obviously rushed or changed the day of when they got to Chicago, and they were like, figure it out, do something. Concessions match. Yeah, what do you guys have? We'll figure it out when we get there.
But see, the crazy thing is they did this concessions match, but then a couple of weeks ago, we had a Falls Count Anywhere match that used the stadium between Chris Jericho and Roderick Strong. And in my personal opinion, that Falls Count Anywhere match, because they also went through the concession stand for 5 minutes of the whole entire match, that was like 15. That little 5 minute bit between Roderick and Chris was better than this whole entire concession match between Jeff
Yeah.
and Mark. But that's
Yeah.
because it was just those two individuals fighting instead of having a whole squad of people like come in out of nowhere.
I get you got to fill 2 hours, and everybody thinks they have an answer, but you got to be all in, all out. You have to be all in on all these things. I Overall, I like grading things because I'm a teacher. This was a solid B minus of a Rampage.
I agree.
I liked
Of a
I
Dynamite.
liked it. A Dynamite, excuse me. Sorry, we got all.
How
these
dare
names.
you come from my Rampage, John?
How dare you review the Rogue Show?
I'm just kidding. They all kind of connect.
This was a good Dynamite, sort of B minus. I felt like it just needed a little bit of tweaking here and there, a little bit of breathing room. Like, hey, don't rush this. Hey, don't worry about this. Hey, don't worry about that. And like we said at the top, we're this roller coaster going. So there's a lot of hype on these go home shows, and here we go, and everyone's here, and all these things are happening. There was a few clunky spots, but there were some great matches that kind of saved it. So I think all in all, as far as it was above average, it was great. We had plenty to talk about going into the weekend.
Yeah, and like you said, I also agree. I give this a solid B minus, a B for this episode of Dynamite. Again, it's the go home, so usually there always tends across any promotion there tends to be a lot jam packed in to the go home show to get you hyped. I did, because I posted before Dynamite on our YouTube channel via short. Go check it out. I was wondering, I'm excited for Dynamite tonight. My big thing I want to see is I want to see what other matches we get confirmed. And of course, like everybody likes to speculate, I don't believe a match is happening until it gets the official like placard from the pay-per-view.
Oh, that's not good, because so many of those have been wrong, though. That's what you wait for?
No, because they showed it off before we got to this main event segment on the television, and the official like AEW sites usually post it. But so we now have a total officially confirmed 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 7 matches that have the official placard so far. The 4 that we already knew beforehand: the IWGP United States Championship between Kenny and Will. You have Bryan Danielson taking on Kazuchika Okada. It did get confirmed tonight that MJF will be defending the AEW Championship against Hiroshi Tanahashi. The one match I feel really bad for both people because it's, and then they weren't even on the show tonight. For the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, you have Sonata taking on challenger Jungle Boy Jack Perry with Hook at ringside. No mention of that match at all.
Never mentioned. We talked about it last week a little bit, and then it just was over.
And then the 3 new matches that we have: an Owen Hart Cup semifinal match, CM Punk versus Satoshi Kojima. For the AEW Women's Championship, you have champion Toni Storm defending it against New Japan Strong champion Willow Nightingale. And then I think this could be a sleeper hit if they is given time. You have a fatal 4-way for the AEW International Championship with Orange Cassidy, the champion, defending against Daniel Garcia, New Japan Television Champion Zack Sabre Jr., and Ring of Honor Pure Champion Katsuyori Shibata. That match should be really good.
Some great matches on here. I'm looking at a breakdown of all the matches, and it doesn't look like... Do you know the order of these matches?
The only thing I know for certain is that we did get announced on Dynamite, as I said, is that Okada versus Danielson will main event. I can only assume that Will versus Kenny will be the match before that. And I'm
Yeah, because
thinking, if I
the
had to
list that
guess, I think the International Championship may open up Forbidden Door, if I'm being completely
oh,
honest,
okay.
until we figure out what other matches get confirmed via Rampage and Collision before the pay per view on
Okay. The list I'm seeing
Sunday.
has Omega Osprey still as the main card, the one that I'm looking at right now, but that was updated probably 24 hours, not 12 hours ago. It's going to be a lot of stuff. I think it's going to be exciting. I think this was a good one of 3 going home shows. I think this it set it up well. It was clunky. You expected elements of that because that's what happens. But if they do another concessions match, come on, make it a good one.
We could just I'm just curious to see what do we continue. I think, like I said, I think this feud between Jeff and the squad versus Mark is far from over. I want it to be over. I would like to see Mark do something else,
Well,
but we shall
that's the
see.
problem is what else do you have for Mark to do?
That's true.
Sadly, nothing against and him and his brother and that family and what's going on. And I think I'm glad that Tony's supporting him and that family right now and giving Mark work and putting him in there, even though it's wedging in spots where he fits and stuff that he can do. I think it's a matter of time they'll sort that out. But that would be my question. It's like, what else are you gonna do? Or have him guest ref stuff and keep messing things up, which is funny. But great. That is our review and breakdown of Dynamite from the 21st, June 21st, 2023, heading towards Forbidden Door. I am John the Professor here from the Bi-Conics podcast, a part of Vibe Tribe Productions. Mikey, what are the socials?
And this is Mikey, founder of Vibe Tribe, and also 1/5 of the Bi-Conics Wrestling School podcast squad.
School?
School, whatever you want
Podcast
to.
squad. That's right.
We are the squad. First of all, thank you for so much for letting me fill in, because usually
Because I let you. That's why.
you could have did this by yourself, but you said, "Hey, you know what?
No,
I'm filling
I
in for
love.
JVL, who should be back next week."
No, I wasn't trying to take a dig at you or anything. I'm stoked to have you here. You make all the calls, and you made this better. I'm just a guy rambling.
That is,
That
it's a
is true.
team. No, it's not true. Maybe no, but in all seriousness, we're a team here at the Bi-Conics, and all 5 of us always love jumping in whenever we're able to help out when one of us can't do anything. But as far as the social goes, if you really enjoyed our long form review of Dynamite, if you want to see more long form reviews of your other weekly television shows, you can check them all out here on the Bi-Conics podcast. You should also check out our other series we got going on, Hot Tag, where our host Adolfo takes all the wrestling news of throughout the last couple of days / week and condenses it into a bite-sized 2 to 3 minute update video, so you can watch that and not have to commit to a very long sitting to stay up to date on what's going on in the professional wrestling world. If you want to see a more condensed version of our review of Dynamite and all the other TV shows, go check us out over on the Instagrams and TikTok at BC WrestlePod. Various iterations of that to see the Beat the Clock version, where we attempt to summarize each weekly television show in under 5 minutes.
And I am not good at it. I am not good at it.
We've only had one success so far, and that was yesterday. Me and Evan / Minnie were able to review NXT and keep it under 5 minutes, and then we rambled, which then put us over, but that's fine.
That's fine. That happens.
But check us out there. Make sure to give us a like and a follow on the socials and a subscribe here to tell your friends about this. Spread this to all of your wrestling nerd friends. We appreciate all the views we get, all the listeners, all the subscribers. Put it on as white noise if you're cleaning, or do you need to listen to something while you're doing homework?
Yeah. If you just need friendly voices talking wrestling in the background, go ahead. Yeah.
And then, of course, if you want to dive deeper into the Bi-Conics lore, so to speak, you can check us out over on our actual wrestling podcast, where we just talk about anything and everything. This latest episode that is coming out next week, while it happened a little bit ago, was one of my favorite episodes to record, because we just gush about Backlash, the importance of hot crowds, how the Latin wrestlers got to shine for the first time in what seems forever in WWE. And we just talk a whole bunch of other stuff. So if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe on where you listen to your favorite podcast. Doesn't matter where,
I
because we're pretty much
mean, that's
everywhere.
kind of the best pay-per-view of the year so far.
The professor is not wrong. But that is going to be it for us here. Next week, John and JVL, maybe, will be back to review another episode of Dynamite. And next week will be the post Forbidden Door Dynamite. So we'll see what happens next, what's starting, because then we start the build towards all the special summer shows. And eventually we will get to All in August. But until then, from all of us here at the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast, remember, take care of yourself. And until the next Dynamite review, that is going to be adios. And as always, sayonara.